The alien ships came down from the sky like silver tears. 3 large vessels landed in the empty field outside Seoul, their metal hulls shining in the morning sun. Inside the ships, creatures from different worlds prepared for their first meeting with humans. Ambassador Vextai looked at his reflection in the metal wall. His body was covered in blue crystal plates that grew from his skin like armor. Each plate was harder than diamond and could stop bullets. He had never seen his real skin underneath. No one from his planet had. The crystal armor was part of who they were. "Are you ready?" Ambassador asked Captain Mordok. The captain was from the Krathen world. His body looked like a giant insect covered in black shell. The shell was so thick that even explosions could not hurt him. Spikes grew from his arms and back. His people were born warriors. "Yes, I am ready," Vextai said. "But I am worried about these humans. Our scans show they have no protection at all, no shells, no crystal armor, no energy shields. How do they survive?" The third member of their team was Zelona, from the Veltar people. She was tall and thin, and light blue energy flowed around her body like a second skin. The energy shield protected her from everything: heat, cold, weapons, disease. Without it, she would die in minutes. "Maybe they live underground," Zelona said. "Or maybe they never leave their cities. Some species are very weak." The 3 aliens had traveled across the galaxy to meet Earth's people. The Galactic Council wanted to invite humans to join them, but first, they needed to study human bodies and learn how to keep them safe. All council members knew that space was dangerous. Only species with strong natural protection could survive long enough to build ships and explore stars. The ship's door opened with a soft sound. Cool Earth air flowed inside. The aliens put on their breathing masks and walked down the metal ramp. Their feet made heavy sounds on the ground. A group of humans waited for them in the field. The aliens stopped walking and stared. The humans looked so strange. Their skin was completely open to the air. No armor, no shells, no shields. They wore thin clothes that would not stop anything. How were they still alive? The first human stepped forward. He was a man with dark hair and kind eyes. He wore a simple blue suit that looked like it was made from soft material. Any weapon would cut right through it. "Welcome to Earth," the man said. "My name is Deho. I am a scientist who studies life from other worlds. We are very happy to meet you." Vextai tried to speak, but his voice made strange sounds through his breathing mask. The crystal plates on his throat moved as he talked. "Greetings, human Deho. I am Ambassador Vextai. We come in peace." Another human walked forward. This one was a woman with long black hair tied back. She wore white clothes like a doctor. "I am Hyjin," she said. "I study medicine and healing. I am here to help if anyone gets hurt." Behind her stood a third human. He was tall and strong, wearing dark green clothes. His arms looked powerful, but his skin was completely open. No protection at all. "I am Minsu," he said. "I am here to keep everyone safe." The aliens looked at each other. How could this soft-skinned human keep anyone safe? He had no weapons they could see, no armor, no natural protection. If someone attacked him, he would die instantly. "Thank you for coming so far to meet us," Deho said. "We have prepared a place for you to stay. We know you might need special air or food. We want you to be comfortable." Vexti was surprised. The human was worried about their comfort. But humans were the ones who needed help. They were so weak and unprotected. "We should go inside quickly," Captain Mordok said. His shell clicked as he moved. "These humans cannot survive outside for long. Look at them. They have no protection from the sun, from the wind, from anything." But the humans did not seem worried. They stood in the open air like it was normal. The wind blew their soft clothes around their bodies. The sun touched their bare skin. None of them died. Deho led them toward a building. As they walked, he picked up a folder from a table. The papers inside were held together with a metal clip. As he opened the folder, the metal edge cut his finger. Red blood appeared on his skin. All 3 aliens stopped walking. Mordok made a loud clicking sound with his shell. Zelona's energy shield flashed bright blue. Vext's crystal plates turned dark with shock. "Medical emergency," Mordok shouted. "The human is wounded. His skin is broken." The aliens rushed toward Deho. They expected him to fall down, to cry out in pain, to die. When their natural armor was damaged, it was always serious. A crack in crystal armor meant infection. A hole in shell meant death. But Deho just looked at his finger. A small drop of blood sat on the cut. "Oh, this," he said. "It's just a small cut. No problem." Hyjin walked over with a small white box. She opened it and took out a tiny bandage. "Here, let me help," she said. She cleaned the cut with a soft cloth and put the bandage over it. "They're all fixed." The aliens stared. "Fixed?" Vext asked. "But his armor is broken. The skin is cut open. How can he survive?" "It's not armor," Hyjin explained. "It's just skin. Small cuts like this heal by themselves in a few days. The body fixes itself." "Fixes itself." Zelona's energy shield pulsed with confusion. "Without medical machines? Without replacement parts?" "Yes," Deho said. He moved his finger normally. "Human bodies can repair small damage. We do it all the time," Minsu laughed. "Yesterday I got 3 cuts worse than this one just working in my garden. They're already getting better." The aliens could not understand. How could these creatures live without protection? How could they walk around with their soft, weak bodies open to every danger? How could they fix themselves without advanced medical tools? As they walked toward the building, Minzu stopped to lean against a metal fence. The fence was made of steel bars that would dent the alien's armor, but Minzu just rested his arm on it like it was comfortable. His soft human arm touched the hard metal with no fear. "Are you not afraid?" Mordok asked. "That metal could hurt you." "This old fence." Minzu tapped it with his hand. The sound rang through the air. "It's not sharp, it's safe." Vextai watched the human touch the metal fence again and again. Each time he expected to see damage. Each time the human's skin stayed whole. How was this possible inside the building? More humans moved around doing normal work. They carried heavy boxes. They walked up and down stairs. They opened doors and touched walls and picked things up with their bare hands. All of them had soft, unprotected skin. All of them were alive and healthy. "How many humans live on your world?" Zelona asked. "About 8 billion, Hyjin said. 8 billion creatures with no natural armor living together on one planet. The aliens' minds could not hold such a number. Their own worlds had much smaller populations because survival was so hard. "We must study this," Vexti whispered to his teammates. "We must understand how they survive. This changes everything we know about life in the galaxy." As the day ended, the aliens sat in their ships and talked about what they had seen. None of it made sense. Humans seemed so weak, so easy to hurt, but they were everywhere. They built cities and machines and traveled to space. They lived long lives and had families and were happy. "Maybe," Mordek said slowly, "maybe we are wrong about humans." "Wrong how?" Vextai asked. "Maybe they are not weak. Maybe they are something else, something we do not understand yet." Outside their ships, the humans continued their normal lives. They walked around in the dark with no fear. They breathed the night air with no protection. They touched things and moved things and lived their lives like the whole universe was safe. The aliens watched and wondered. Tomorrow, they would begin to learn the truth about humans. Tomorrow they would discover that sometimes the most dangerous creatures are the ones that look the most harmless. And sometimes, the strongest armor is the kind you cannot see. 3 weeks had passed since the aliens arrived on Earth. They lived in a special building near the research center. Every day they watched humans work and lived their normal lives. Every day they became more confused. The humans seemed to do impossible things. They lifted heavy objects with their bare hands. They walked in the rain without protection. They ate hot food that would burn alien throats. They slept in soft beds with no armor on, completely helpless for 8 hours every night, but they were still alive. All of them. Ambassador Vexti sat in his room writing his daily report. His crystal armor glowed blue in the dark as he worked. Outside his window, he could see human children playing in a park. They were running and jumping and falling down on purpose. They called it fun. On his homeworld, children stayed inside protective buildings until their crystal armor grew thick enough to keep them safe. These human children had no armor at all, but they played outside like nothing could hurt them. A loud sound made him look up from his writing. Boom! The building shook. Emergency lights started flashing red. An alarm made a loud warning noise. Vexti's crystal plates turned dark with fear. "Emergency! Emergency!" he called to his teammates. "The building is under attack." Captain Mordok ran into the room. His black shell was ready for battle. Sharp spikes came out of his arms. "Where is the enemy?" he clicked. Zelona appeared next to them. Her energy shield was bright and ready to fight. "I sense an explosion in the lower levels," she said. "We must protect the humans." The 3 aliens ran toward the stairs. Their heavy bodies made loud sounds on the metal steps. They expected to find human bodies everywhere. They expected to find death and destruction. Instead, they found humans running around and working together. The humans moved quickly, but they were not afraid. They carried tools and equipment like this happened every day. "What are you doing?" Vexti asked a human woman who ran past him. "Why are you not hiding?" The building was attacked. The woman stopped running. She wore yellow clothes and a hard hat on her head. "Attacked? No, there was just an equipment problem. A power coupling exploded in the basement. We're fixing it now." Exploded. Captain Mordek's shell clicked with shock. "Someone was killed." "I don't think so," the woman said. "Let me check." She spoke into a small device on her shoulder. "Subin, this is the repair team. Is everyone okay down there?" A voice came from the device. "We have one person hurt, but he's fine. J1 got thrown around a bit, but he's already back on his feet." The aliens looked at each other. Someone was thrown around by an explosion and was fine. That was impossible. They followed the human woman down more stairs. The basement. It smelled like smoke and burned metal. Pieces of broken equipment lay everywhere. A large machine was split in half. The concrete wall had a crack running from floor to ceiling. In the middle of all this destruction, humans were working. They cleaned up the mess and checked the damaged equipment. They talked and laughed like nothing serious had happened. "There he is," the woman said. She pointed to a man sitting on a box. A young woman in white clothes was looking at his head with a small light. The man was J. He was about 40 years old and had gray hair. His work clothes were torn and dirty. His face had small cuts and his arms were red from burns, but he was sitting up and talking. Su-bin, the woman in white clothes, was checking his eyes and asking him questions. She was a medical worker, the aliens realized. She was trying to save his life. How do you feel? Subin asked J1. Like I got hit by a truck, J1 said. Then he laughed. But I've felt worse. Remember when that crane fell over last year? That was much worse than this. The aliens stared. This human had been hit by an explosion strong enough to crack concrete walls. He had been thrown 15 feet through the air. He had hit the wall hard enough to leave a mark. And he was making jokes. We need to get him to a hospital immediately, Vexty said. His injuries will kill him soon. Subin looked confused. Kill him, he has a small concussion and some minor burns. He'll be back to work in 2 days. 2 days. Zelona's energy shield flickered, but his body was damaged by the explosion. How can he survive? Humans are tougher than we look, J1 said. He stood up slowly. His legs were shaking a little, but he could walk. I've had worse injuries from playing soccer with my kids. The aliens watched in shock as J1 walked around the basement. He picked up pieces of broken equipment and put them in a box. His movements were slow and careful, but he was working. A creature that should be dead was cleaning up the mess from his own accident. Taehyun, the facility director, came down the stairs. He was a serious man who wore nice clothes and carried important papers. When he saw J1, he smiled. Good to see you're okay, Taehyun said. Take the rest of the day off. Come back when you feel better. I feel fine now, J1 said. Just a little dizzy. I can keep working. No, go home. Your wife will be worried. The aliens could not believe what they were hearing. This human had survived an explosion that would kill any of them. His own people were treating it like a small problem. They were more worried about his wife being upset than about his life. Later that day, the aliens met with Dr. Hyjin in her office. They had many questions about human bodies and how they worked. Please explain, Vextai said. How did J survive the explosion? Our medical scans show that humans have no natural protection. Hyjin smiled. That's true. We don't have armor like you do, but human bodies are very good at staying alive. She showed them pictures on her computer screen. The pictures showed the inside of human bodies, bones and organs and blood vessels. Human bones are very dense, she explained. Much denser than the bones of most animals. They can take a lot of force before they break, and when they do break, they heal themselves. Captain Mordok clicked in confusion. Yes, broken bones grow back together, usually stronger than before. Human bodies are always repairing damage. She showed them more pictures. Humans can lose up to 40% of their blood and still survive. We can regrow parts of our liver, where we can work with broken ribs or torn muscles. Our bodies have backup systems for almost everything. But you have no armor, Zelona said. How do you protect your vital organs? We don't need to protect them the same way you do, Hyjin said. Human organs are surrounded by muscle and fat and bone. They are already protected, and if something does get damaged, we can usually fix it or work around it. She told them about humans who had survived terrible accidents. People who had fallen from tall buildings and lived. People who had been shot many times and recovered. People who had been trapped in collapsed buildings for days without food or water. On my world, Vexty said slowly, if our crystal armor is cracked, we must stay in healing chambers for weeks. If it breaks completely, we die. That's because your armor is outside your body, Hyjin explained. Human protection is inside. It's part of us. It can't be broken off or removed. The aliens sat quietly for a long time. They were beginning to understand something important. Humans didn't need external armor because they were already protected. Their whole bodies were designed to survive damage and keep working. There is something else, Hyjin said. When humans are in great danger, our bodies can do even more. We become stronger and faster. We can ignore pain and injury. We call it emergency strength. How much stronger, Mordok asked. Mothers have lifted cars off their children. People have broken down steel doors with their bare hands. Injured people have walked for miles to get help. The aliens looked at each other. They had come to Earth thinking humans were the weakest species in the galaxy. But maybe they were wrong. Maybe humans were something else entirely. Outside the office window, they could see J1 walking to his car. Less than 8 hours after an explosion that would have killed any of them, he was going home to have dinner with his family. He moved a little slowly, but he was alive and well. We must tell the Galactic Council about this, Vexty whispered to his teammates. Everything we thought we knew about survival is wrong. The 3 aliens went back to their rooms that night, with new questions. If humans were this tough, what kind of world had they evolved on? What dangers had they faced that made them so hard to kill? And most importantly, if humans were this strong without trying, what could they do when they really needed to fight? The next morning, Ambassador Vexty made a formal request. He wanted to see human history records. He wanted to understand how humans had survived long enough to build cities and travel to space. Of course, said Duyan, the human military historian. She was a woman in her 40s with short hair and serious eyes. What would you like to know about? Everything, Vextai said. We want to understand human evolution. Surely your species lived in safe places, away from predators and natural disasters. Dujan smiled, but it was not a happy smile. I'm afraid that's not true. Humans evolved on a very dangerous world. We survived by being tough. She led the 3 aliens to a large room with many computers and screens. The walls were covered with pictures and maps from human history. Some of the pictures made the aliens step backward in shock. This is human military history, Duyan said. She touched a screen and it showed a video. This is from a war that happened about 80 years ago. The video showed human soldiers fighting each other with terrible weapons. Explosions went off everywhere. Buildings fell down. Fire burned across the land. And in the middle of all this destruction, humans kept fighting. Stop the video, Captain Mordok said. His shell was clicking rapidly. Those humans should be dead. How are they still moving? Dujan paused the video. It showed a human soldier who had been shot in the shoulder. Blood was on his clothes. But he was still running and still shooting, back at his enemies. Humans can function with significant injuries, Duyan explained. This soldier probably fought for several more hours before getting medical help. Hours. Zelona's energy shield flickered with a projectile wound. Yes, humans have fought entire battles with broken bones, bullet wounds, and severe burns. We don't stop working just because we're hurt. She showed them more videos. Humans in wars throughout history, humans fighting with swords and spears, and guns and bombs, always getting hurt, always getting back up, always continuing to fight. Here's something interesting, Duyan said. She showed them a picture of a human soldier from an ancient war. The man's body was covered in scars from old wounds. This man fought in 12 major battles. He was wounded in all of them. He lived to be 70 years old and died peacefully in his sleep. The aliens stared at the picture. 12 battles. 12 times this human had been injured badly enough to leave permanent scars. On their worlds, one serious injury usually meant death. But wars are unusual events, Vexti said. Surely normal humans don't face such dangers. Duyan laughed. Let me introduce you to Dr. Jinwoo. He studies human sports medicine. Dr. Jinwoo was a friendly man with a big smile. He wore casual clothes and seemed very relaxed. Sports medicine, he said when they explained what they wanted to know. Oh, you want to know about human recreational activities? Recreational, Captain Mordek asked. Things we do for fun, Jinwoo explained. Games and competitions. Physical activities we enjoy. He led them to another room filled with medical equipment. On the walls were pictures of humans doing strange things, running very fast, jumping very high, fighting each other with their bare hands. This is a boxing match, Jinwoo said, pointing to a picture. 2 humans hit each other repeatedly until one cannot continue. The aliens looked at the picture in horror. The 2 humans were covered in blood and bruises. Their faces were swollen, but they were still standing and still trying to hit each other. They do this voluntarily, Zelona asked. Yes, people pay money to watch. The fighters are considered heroes. Jinwoo showed them more pictures. Humans playing rugby, where they ran into each other at full speed. Humans doing martial arts, where they kicked and punched each other. Humans playing ice hockey, where they slid around on frozen water and hit each other with sticks. What we consider entertainment, Jinwoo said, would probably be considered torture on your worlds. He brought out medical scans of human athletes, X-rays showing bones that had been broken and healed, pictures of muscles that had been torn and repaired, records of injuries that would have killed the aliens. This is a professional football player, Jinwoo said, showing them a scan of a human skull. He's had 15 concussions during his career. That means his brain was shaken inside his skull 15 times. He's still playing. His brain was damaged 15 times. Vexed IS. Crystal Armor turned pale. How is he still alive? Human brains are very resilient. They can recover from damage that would be permanent in other species. Jinwoo told them about human endurance sports. Humans who ran for 26 miles without stopping. Humans who swam across entire oceans. Humans who climbed the highest mountains on Earth, where the air was too thin to breathe. The strange thing, Jinwoo said, is that humans seem to enjoy pushing their bodies to the breaking point. We have competitions to see who can suffer the most and keep going. The aliens were getting overwhelmed. They asked to speak with an anthropologist, someone who studied human evolution and survival. Eung was a young woman who studied how humans had spread across their planet. She had kind eyes, but her words were frightening. Humans are persistence hunters, she explained. That means we hunted by following animals until they collapsed from exhaustion. She showed them a map of Earth. Red arrows showed how humans had moved from place to place over thousands of years. Humans walked across entire continents, Yonji said. We crossed frozen lands, hot deserts, and dangerous mountains. We survived ice ages and volcanic eruptions and floods. We lived everywhere, even in places where other animals couldn't survive. She told them stories that made the aliens feel sick. Humans who had been trapped in caves for weeks and lived. Humans who had fallen into freezing water and swum to safety. Humans who had been lost in deserts without food or water for days and walked out alive. Here's a famous case, Yonji said. A human named Aaron was trapped in a cave when a boulder fell on his arm. He couldn't move the boulder, so after 5 days he cut off his own arm with a small knife and walked 8 miles to get help. The 3 aliens made sounds of horror, cut off his own arm and then walked 8 miles. He survived and lived a normal life, Youngji continued. He wrote a book about it and became famous. Humans admired his determination, admired Captain Mordok, clicked frantically. He mutilated himself to save his life, Youngji said. Humans will do anything to survive. We never give up. She showed them more examples. Humans who had survived plane crashes in the wilderness and walked hundreds of miles to civilization. Humans who had been buried in earthquakes for days and still lived when rescued. Humans who had survived diseases that killed most of their populations. The Black Death killed 1/3 of all humans in Europe, Youngji said, but the rest survived and rebuilt their civilization. Humans always rebuild. By the end of the day, the aliens' worldview had completely changed. They had thought humans were weak because they had no natural armor, but now they understood the truth. Humans didn't need armor because they were already weapons. They had evolved on a planet that tried to kill them every day. They had survived by becoming unkillable. I need to update my report to the Galactic Council, Vextai said quietly. What will you tell them? Youngjae asked. That we were wrong about humans. You're not a weak species that needs protection. You're the most dangerous species we've ever encountered. Dangerous? Youngji looked surprised. Any creature that treats survival as entertainment is dangerous, Vextai said. Any species that considers cutting off their own limbs to be heroic is dangerous. Any people who think getting repeatedly hit in the head is fun. He paused, his crystal armor flickering with new understanding. You don't even know how dangerous you are, do you? Youngji thought about this question. I suppose we don't think about it much. This is just normal life for us. That night, the 3 aliens sent an emergency message to the Galactic Council. Their message was short but important. Humans are not what they appear to be. Recommend immediate review of all first contact protocols. What we thought was weakness may actually be the greatest strength in the galaxy. The response came back quickly. Explain. Vexti looked at his teammates. How could they explain that an entire species had evolved to be living weapons? How could they describe creatures so tough that they injured themselves for entertainment? We need more data, he said finally. Much more data. 2 weeks later, Ambassador Vexti made an unusual request. He wanted to test human durability under controlled conditions. The evidence they had gathered seemed impossible. Surely the stories were exaggerated. Surely humans couldn't really be as tough as they appeared. You want to do what? Asked Wu Jin, the human safety coordinator. He was a careful man who worried about everyone's well-being. Scientific durability testing, Vexti explained. We need to understand human physical limits. For the Galactic Council's records, Wu Jin looked uncomfortable. You want to deliberately hurt people. Not hurt, Vexti said quickly. Test. We will use the same stress tests we used for our own species. Very controlled, very safe, Captain Mordok added. We need to prove to our people that humans can survive space travel. These tests will help us design better protection for humans. Wu Jin thought about it. The tests might help humans join the galactic community, but they sounded dangerous. What kind of tests? He asked. Zell. Single quotes. Nay answered. Impact resistance, temperature variation, pressure changes, atmospheric composition, basic survival protocols. The tests they described would be deadly for their own species, but they believed humans were too weak to survive them anyway. They expected the tests to prove that humans needed special protection. I'll need volunteers, Wu Jin said finally. And medical supervision, and emergency equipment, of course. Vextai agreed. The volunteer was Kyung Ho, a professional stuntman. He was 31 years old and made his living doing dangerous things for movies and television. When he heard about the alien tests, he got excited. Alien strength tests, he said with a big smile. That sounds fun. Wu Jin tried to explain that these tests were designed for creatures with natural armor. They might be dangerous for humans. Don't worry, Kyung Ho said. I've been hit by cars, thrown off buildings, and set on fire. I think I can handle some alien tests. Dr. Nari was assigned to monitor Kyung Ho's health during the tests. She was a sports physiologist who studied how human bodies performed under stress. I want to see exactly what these tests do to human systems, she said. This could be very interesting research. The aliens built their testing facility in an empty warehouse. They installed equipment from their ships, machines designed to test the limits of crystal armor, insect shells, and energy shields. On the day of the test, Kyung Ho arrived wearing simple clothes and a big smile. The aliens were wearing their full protective gear. They expected to be cleaning up human remains by the end of the day. Ready when you are, Kyung Ho said. The first test was impact resistance. On Vextai's world, this test determined how much force a crystal armor could absorb before cracking. The test usually shattered several armored plates. Kyung Ho strapped himself into the impact machine. Heavy weights would hit him from different angles. The aliens expected him to be killed by the first impact. Beginning test, Vextai announced. Level 1 impact. The machine hit Kyung Ho with a force that would crack crystal armor. He grunted but stayed conscious. How do you feel? Nari asked. Like someone punched me in the chest, Kyung-ho said. But I'm okay, is that it? The alien stared. Level 1 impact was supposed to be dangerous even for armored species. Kyung was treating it like a minor inconvenience. Level 2 impact, Vexti said nervously. The machine hit harder. Kyung-ho's body was thrown backward in the restraints. His chest showed a red mark where the impact pad had hit him. Ouch, he said. That one hurt. But I've had worse. Captain Mordok clicked in disbelief. When last month I got kicked by a horse during a movie scene. That was much worse than this. The aliens increased the impact level again and again. Each time they expected Kyung-ho to be seriously injured. Each time he got back up and asked for the next test. By level 7 the impacts were strong enough to dent their ship's hull. Kyung-ho had bruises across his chest and arms, but he was still conscious and joking with Nari. His vital signs are stable, Nari reported. Heart rate elevated but normal. Blood pressure normal. No sign of internal bleeding. This is impossible, Zelena whispered. Those impacts would shatter my energy shield. The second test was temperature resistance. The aliens tested how much heat and cold their natural protection could handle. These tests often killed members of their species. Kyung-ho sat in the temperature chamber wearing only shorts and a t-shirt. The aliens slowly increased the heat, at temperatures that would cook their internal organs. Kyung-ho was sweating but comfortable. It's like a sauna, he said. My grandmother's sauna is hotter than this. They tried cold temperatures. Kyung-ho shivered but remained alert and functional. At temperatures that would freeze alien blood, he was still making jokes. I went camping in mountains colder than this, he said. You just need to keep moving. The pressure tests were next. Changes in atmospheric pressure could rupture alien organs or crack their armor. The aliens expected these tests to finally prove human weakness. Instead, Kyung-ho's ears popped and he yawned. Like flying in an airplane, he said. No problem. His body is adapting to the pressure changes, Nari said, looking at her instruments. Human physiology is automatically adjusting. After 6 hours of testing, the aliens were running out of ideas. Every test that should have killed Kyung-ho had failed. He was tired and bruised, but he was still alive and still joking. Let's try the atmospheric composition test, Vexti said desperately. Surely humans cannot survive in different air. They slowly changed the mixture of gases in the test chamber. Less oxygen, more carbon dioxide, trace amounts of gases that were toxic to alien species. Kyung-ho's breathing became slower and deeper. His heart rate increased, but he remained conscious and alert. Getting dizzy, he reported, but I've felt worse at high altitude. High altitude, Mordok asked. Mountains, Kyung-ho explained. Less oxygen up there. Humans climb mountains for fun. Nari was taking notes rapidly. His blood chemistry is changing to compensate, she said. His body is producing more red blood cells to carry oxygen. Amazing adaptation. The final test was the one that scared the aliens most. Maximum stress, all the previous tests combined, impact, temperature, pressure, and atmospheric changes all at once. This test had killed members of their species, even with full armor protection. Are you sure about this? Woojin asked. That could be very dangerous, I'm sure, Kyung-ho said. I want to see what I can do. The test began. Kyung-ho was hit with impacts while the temperature dropped and the pressure changed and the air became thinner. The aliens watched in horror, expecting to witness the first human death of the program. Instead, something remarkable happened. Kyung-ho's body seemed to get stronger. His heart rate increased but stayed steady. His breathing became more efficient. His muscles tensed and adapted to the stress. He's entering emergency mode, Nari said with excitement. His body is releasing stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol, endorphins. He's becoming more resistant to damage. Emergency mode, Vexti asked. Humans have a backup system, Nari explained. When we're in real danger, our bodies can do things that seem impossible. Increased strength, speed, pain tolerance. We call it fight or flight response. Kyung-ho was now taking impacts that would destroy their testing equipment. The temperature was changing rapidly. The pressure was fluctuating wildly. The air was barely breathable, and he was still conscious, still fighting, still refusing to give up. Then something went wrong. A machine malfunction caused all the tests to activate at maximum level at the same time. Kyung-ho was hit with a force equivalent to a small vehicle accident while in an environment that should have killed him instantly. The aliens expected to find a corpse when the emergency systems shut down. Instead, they found Kyung-ho sitting up in the testing chamber, bleeding from several cuts but still breathing. He looked dazed but alert. That was intense, he said. Is everyone okay? Did the equipment break? Did the equipment break? Mordok repeated in amazement. You nearly died. Nearly died, Kyung-ho laughed. I've had worse accidents just walking. Downstairs, this was exciting. Nari was running multiple medical scans. Concussion, multiple bruises, some minor internal bleeding, torn muscle in his left shoulder, but nothing life-threatening. When can I go home? Kyung-ho asked. You want to go home? Zelona's energy shield was pulsing with shock. You should be in a medical facility for weeks. For this, Kyung-ho looked at his injuries. I'll be fine. Tomorrow, maybe I'll take a day off work. The aliens sat in stunned silence. They had thrown everything they had at this human, tests that would kill their strongest warriors, tests that would destroy their most advanced armor, and the human was asking when he could go home. "We need to contact the Galactic Council immediately," Vextai said quietly. "Everything we thought we knew about biological limits is wrong." "What will you tell them?" Nari asked. "That humans are not just tough," Vextai said. "You're practically indestructible. And the scariest part is that you don't even know it." As Kung-ho walked out of the testing facility, waving goodbye to everyone, the aliens began to understand the truth. Humans didn't need natural armor because they were already living armor. They didn't need protection because they were protection. They treated surviving the impossible like it was just another day at work. 6 months had passed since the alien delegation arrived on Earth. Now they were preparing to leave, but they were very different from the creatures who had first landed in that field outside Seoul. Ambassador Vexti stood in his ship, looking out of the human city below. Thousands of unarmored humans moved through the streets, going about their daily lives. 6 months ago, this sight had terrified him. Now it filled him with something like respect. "Status report, Ambassador," came a voice from his communication device. It was High Command from the Galactic Council, asking for his final evaluation of the human species. Vexti had been dreading this conversation. How could he explain what he had learned? How could he make them understand that everything they believed about survival and evolution was wrong? "High Command," he said slowly, "I need to request a complete revision of our first contact protocols." "Revision? Why?" "Because humans are not what we thought they were." In the months since the testing, the aliens had continued studying human society. They had watched humans work and play and live their lives. They had learned things that changed their understanding of life in the universe. Sangmin, the human diplomatic liaison, had become their primary teacher. He was a patient man who answered their endless questions about human behavior and biology. "Why do humans take such risks?" Captain Mordek had asked him one day. "Your people do dangerous things even when they don't have to." "Because we're curious," Sangmin had said. "And because we like challenges. We want to see what's beyond the next mountain, under the next ocean, above the next star." "But you could be killed." "Yes, but we could also discover something wonderful." The aliens had learned that humans explored dangerous places, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. They climbed mountains that could kill them. They dove to the bottom of oceans that could crush them. They flew into space knowing they might never return, and they called it adventure. The Jin, the research coordinator, had shown them human achievement records: the fastest humans could run, the highest they could jump, the deepest they could dive, the longest they could go without food or water or sleep. "These are your maximum capabilities?" Zelona had asked. "Oh no," the Jin had said. "These are just the records we've officially measured. In emergency situations, humans can do much more." She had told them about mothers lifting cars off their children, about people breaking down doors to save others from fires, about injured humans carrying other injured humans for miles to safety. "The human body has safety limits," she explained. "But in real emergencies, we can override those limits. We become stronger, faster, and more resistant to damage." "For how long?" "Until the emergency is over. Then we collapse and sleep for days." Hoseok, the cultural attaché, had taught them about human entertainment and art. Humans told stories about heroes who faced impossible odds and won through determination and courage. They sang songs about overcoming hardship. They created art that celebrated the struggle to survive. "Why do you celebrate suffering?" Vextai had asked. "Because suffering makes us stronger," Hoseok had said. "We believe that the best humans are those who have faced the worst challenges and kept going. On our worlds, we try to avoid challenges." "Yes, but that's because you have natural armor. You're already protected." Humans became strong by not being protected. We had to earn our survival. Now, as Vexti prepared his final report, he tried to find words to explain what he had learned. "High Command," he said into his communicator, "humans should be classified as a durability Class X species." Class X, that classification doesn't exist. It does now. We need to create it specifically for humans. Explain. Vexti took a deep breath. Humans have no natural armor, but they don't need it. Their entire biology is designed to survive damage and continue functioning. They can lose 40% of their blood and still fight. They can break bones and still walk. They can be injured in ways that would kill us and consider it a minor inconvenience that seems unlikely. I have 6 months of documentation, video evidence, medical scans, test results. High Command, I have seen a human survive impacts that would destroy our warships. There was silence from the communicator. "Then, are you saying humans are dangerous?" "I'm saying humans are the most dangerous species we've ever encountered, and they don't even know it." Vextai explained what he had learned about human evolution. They had survived ice ages, volcanic eruptions, plagues, and natural disasters that would have wiped out other species. They had spread across their entire planet, adapting to every environment from freezing polar regions